All right. Welcome, everyone. It's time for webinar, Start Deliver webinar. Great to have you all signing up and joining me today to talk about this very important topic, how to handle these most tough situations when working in customer success. It's a full 20 minutes webinar with some Q&A. I'm here. My name is Johan Nilsson. I was supposed to be joined with my colleague Gustav Aurén. He got a cold, so he's not joining this webinar, but he will be back for sure. And we are now live. The webinar will continue for roughly 25 minutes, and we will do some Q&A in the end. So please think of questions, write them down, and we will take them in the end. You can in the webinar, you can post them straight up, and we will cover all the questions in the end for sure. All the material, both the presentation and this webinar, is recorded, so we will share it with you, and you will get it afterwards. We think this topic is really important because we go straight at the hard stuff. And I think that's important because of two reasons. One reason is that some people don't expect these things to, customer success to be hard. They think it's more about helping customers, and when they get into these difficult situations, they don't like it, and they might be thinking of leaving customer success. So that's one part of it, to talk about it in that way. And now the other part is that to be really good in customer success and to make a bigger difference, these hard, tough situations is the things that will make the difference. How you handle these things is the difference that make the difference in the results you get. So it's both about helping people who struggle and also about helping people who wants to take the next step and grow in their role as customer success managers. So that's why we believe this is really important. But there's not fun stuff we're going to talk about. The number one thing is this a top account canceling on you. And for sure, this is stepping into the ice cold shower. If you have ever received a cancellation and you were not prepared for it, it's really, really not a nice feeling. But a few things what you should not do in this case. And I've seen this many times. Sometimes because it's hurting, it's not what you want, you try to hide it. You hide it by and try to make it go away by not thinking about it, to not looking at the email, just focusing on other things. That's not the right way to go. Another thing is that you delay everything. You wait. It's one way of hiding it as well, is to delay things, to not do it, to not act on it, to not tell, to not inform. That's also really hurting. So when you get this type of information, you cannot delay things. You should not downplay it either. To say, well, we couldn't have done anything, forget about it, let's move on. We should not downplay it either. So those are three things that you should avoid when you get a cancellation. Another thing that's much more hard is to keep the confidence and keep the energy when you get this. If you get this on a Monday, you might ruin the whole week for you if you don't shake it off and get back into action mode. I think that's the only way out of this, is to really to accelerate instead of being passive, instead of staying, not taking calls, not going into meetings. You have to do that to shake this off properly. So what to do then? Yes, to move into action mode here, first thing, do the analysis. Before you talk to your manager, do the analysis. What have we missed? What went wrong? Were there signals here? What is the real reason? Have we got the reason, or did we get an excuse of a reason? Dig in and really try to find out what is the real reason behind them canceling with you. And when you've digged into these things, be brutally honest. Did I miss something? I'm honest about that. Did we miss something? Did product miss something? Did sales miss something? Where did we go wrong? So make the analysis clear. Number 2 here, make a plan for recovery. Is there a chance to win back? What would it take to do the win back? And of course, you have to make the analysis before you make the plan. In our last webinar, we talked about how you can do win backs. And what are we doing? What is the next steps here? This week, this day, what are we doing? Who are we talking to? Do we have some more informal ways of communicating with this customer? Can we talk to someone that knows someone to maybe get a more straight picture on what's happened here? And of course, if there's no chance of winning them back, if there's no chance of coming in again, offboard them. There's a limited market. It's usually a limited number of customers, a limited number of references you can have. So don't burn them by making it difficult for them to leave you either. Think of it as a way they will come back in one way or the other from another company, or even this company will come back. So do a good offboarding. So 2 things. The third here, which I believe is also really important, it's the internal communication around this. Don't scream out, don't yell, do this analysis, do the plan, then sit down with your manager. Probably the same day. It shouldn't take too long, this, but do this work and then take a call or a meeting with your manager and talk this through. Get his or her view on this. What more can we do? Have I missed something here? What's your thoughts? So that's like the first step. Then you, together with your manager, or if you're the manager, don't brush this under the carpet and pretend it didn't happen, or try to. People will hear about it, especially if it's a big account. So it's better to front it and talk about it, and also identify, this is things that went wrong here. This is things we're fixing now. We will not make this happen again, but we need to do a lot of things to avoid it. So that's internal communication is really important in this when this happens as well. Then, if you don't like these cold showers, what can you do? And this is where it's really important to force yourself to be proactive, to be one step ahead. You need to look at signals. You need to see these early signs. My experience is there is almost always early signs of a cancellation coming up. Stakeholders are changing. Stakeholders are not happy with what you have delivered so far. Usage is dropping. You see it in the signals, but you have to be in control of that. So that's the way to go in order to not get cancellations in the first place. So that's the recommendation on how to avoid them going forward. So that was number 1. Number 2. A key stakeholder blocking you and being really negative. I think I've been in this situation. I think a lot of people who's been in customer success, working with customers, have been in this situation. You try everything. You have ideas. You see clear things that would improve the situation for the customer. But whatever you do, it's not enough. You can't really get through here. And this is tough. It's a tricky situation. And I think a key here is to think, what is the root cause? And I believe there's one of these 4 or a combination. Or is this stakeholder, are they into another solution? Have they worked with this other product previously and they want to bring that in? Or is there big change on their way, but they're not telling you? Is this stakeholder a non-technology person? Or is it a personality clash? I think it's one of these. And if we start with the top 2, I think here, if you don't get clear answers here, my way to solve this is to turn it around. Be honest here. If you've been trying the best with the right intentions to get more things going for this customer and you don't get through, be honest about that. Tell them that you're feeling bad, that that you have a gut feeling that you're doing something wrong, and you would really appreciate just them straight talking to you, telling them the real story here. Usually when you do this, like turning things around, you will get the real answer. Yeah, actually we are looking into another competitor of yours, or yeah, I've been working a long time with X product and I want to be, I have a good relationship there, or I'm used to that one and I would like to bring that in. So turning it around, you usually get the answer. Maybe it's not the answer you want, but still you get it and you can work with that. Another root cause can be that this is a non-technology person. Maybe they have switched, it's a new CEO, a CFO, or a C-level person coming in. That's not a technology person in the first place. The old buyer or the old person was, but this new one is not. And this is tricky as well. And I believe sometimes it can really be that it's a bad fit. If this stakeholder is a non-technology person and they're blocking you, that's actually almost a bad fit customer. Of course, the way forward here is to, can we go down one level and get someone that's that understands technology, wants technology, and we can work with that person. Can we get help from a sponsor? Do we have a user, a key person in the organization that likes our product, that understands our product? Can we go through him or her? Or do we have some other person that's on the same, that's the non-tech person, maybe from the same generation, same type of personality, that works with our product fine? Can we connect those two? I think it's a tough situation, but that's how you can work with it. But otherwise, you probably end up with a bad fit, actually. Last problem or last cause potentially for having a blocking negative person is a personality clash. Maybe we don't get together. There's a clash. We are not communicating well. There is some reason, there is a personality issue. I think this is, it's not a common case, but it can be there. And if you can identify that, that's great, because I think then you should just make a change. Switch this customer with one of your other colleagues. Don't make any prestige about it, because you will just face, it will be uphill work all the time here. So it's better to change up and maybe even think about that, to say, okay, these kind of persons, these kind of customers work better with this CSM versus this one, and so on. I think that's really, you should not be afraid of changing customer success manager or account manager, or what you call yourself. But when you do that, don't make it such a big deal. It's better to introduce someone by making them do things, making them deliver value, bring the new person in slowly by showing results and being an advisor and being someone they can get help from. And then gradually this person will become the real owner of the customer. In some cases with this situation, it's also about this person wanting more senior person fronting from us as a vendor. And maybe you need to do that sometimes, just to bring in a higher level seniority person, just to be the contact, just to smooth things over with this kind of personality clash. So that wraps it up for number 2. Moving on. Number 3 here, we have a situation where we have downtime, and how do we navigate through that? If any one of you have been through this, I've been through this. We had some DDoS attacks, and we had some problems with that. If you have had any problems with this, you know it's tough. And it can also be that some parts of the service have problem. And the way forward here, and the only good way, is to be really, really communicative. It's about communicating as soon as possible when you have a problem. Don't let the customer find out, or been trying to find out and hear about it a long time later. So it's better to be upfront and communicate it. There's plenty of services that can handle this for you. And over communicate. Update the status a lot, even if there's no progress, even if we have no news still keep them posted and make them feel that they are on top of this. They know the latest, basically. If there's real downtime of the whole service, be really creative here, finding options. Can they work with the export of data? Can they work with parts of the product? Can we send them reports? Can we help them get some benefits out of the system without using the actual product? And of course, you have to be really flexible and doing all the extras here when it comes to services, add-ons, whatever you have to make this major problem go away, or at least not hurt your reputation too much. So you have to be flexible around what the customer wants and all these extra things you have. That's a tough one. Number 4, moving on. Failing a customer on a major promise. And this is of course a major headache. It can be that sales has promised something, we have promised something, me as the customer success manager promised something, product has promised something. It can be a lot of promises, but we as a customer success manager have to face it and talk with the customer here. And sometimes you hear about it you know about it because you have failed, but there's also sometimes that you don't know about it. So a key thing here is also to use structured feedback to expose when we have failed on promises. Feedback, of course, not good feedback, high scores on NPS and so on are great, but bad scores, when you get a bad feedback in a survey, in-app service, NPS, CSAT, whatever you have, when you get bad feedback, that's usually when you have failed on a promise. And those are really key to pick up. So use structured feedback to uncover these potentially hidden failed promises. That's a really strong recommendation. But then when you have this, when this has happened, how do we, what the real problem is here, we have lost trust. We have said we're going to do something and we have failed on that. So the main thing here is to restore trust. And the problem with trust is that you lose it instantly, but it takes a lot of time to build. So we need to restart that process. And the first step here is to clarify what went wrong and take full on ownership of it. So we promised this, we thought we could deliver, we didn't. We take ownership of that. And this should not happen again. You really need to clarify that and be really open with the customer. And maybe also let the customer ventilate how they feel and what probably they promised things internally on their end. So let them open up and talk freely there. Then you should compensate. You should compensate probably more than the customer actually expects in this case, because that's the little extra you do there is going to be really something that shows that you have the best intentions here. And then the only way to restore the trust really is to start showing results, and as soon as possible. And of course, forget about promising more things before you really know you can deliver them. So start showing the results as soon as possible. And here, pay extra attention to all new questions, new requests coming from this customer. How, if they do requests in the support for some features or some bugs, be extra sensitive and extra fast on solving all other issues, because we are low on trust, and small things now can make everything fall, and they can cancel and churn on you. So this is a really sensitive situation, but you can, of course, rebuild this trust, but you have to be very, very sensitive to all things around this customer. So that's the way to do it. Moving on. Last part, last one on our top list of really hard stuff to face as customer success manager. It's how you implement the price increase. And price increases are, of course, a great way of driving growth. In SaaS, you work on the long term. In SaaS, you work with recurring businesses. And if you can gradually increase prices, that will have a big impact on your growth. But it's on the other hand, to implement the actual price increase is really difficult. And if you do it the wrong way, you will have churn. You will have churn, and you'll have a lot of friction, and you will have hurt your relationship a lot with your customers. So how to do it? First, these are few things that you can do if you really want to piss off your customer. I have actually myself been I have actually done some of these myself, and I know firsthand that this is a really great way if you want to get angry calls, angry emails, and you will feel really stupid. So if you try to do just a mandatory across the board price increase, you inform them by mail, and there's no really options to it, that's a really good way to make everyone really pissed at you. Another way is to like really make the early adopters, the one that took the risk to go with you, would probably have also like the best deal, make them get the biggest hit. That will also send a really bad signal actually to those people. So those are a few ways to not do the wrong way to do it, basically. And here are my best tips on how to get price increases that really stick and work. It needs to be a clear logic here. Why are we increasing prices? Well, we have invested this amount in the platform. We have added this amount of data space. We have added this much flexibility. What have we done to increase prices? It must have a clear link to value for the customer. The customer does not care if you want to improve your margins. The customer cares what's in it for them. Why should they pay more for your service? You have to link it to value. And then price increases, the best way to do them is in a slower pace. You should not do them for the first period, or you can try, but you should do it like for the second period. So make the customer have an option here to lock in the old pricing for one period, but they get the upgrade immediately, for instance. That's the slow, you should make a slow implementation of the price increase. And communication here is really key. And this is also something that sometimes management make the decision and they think it makes sense, but everyone working with the customer, and especially if you're responsible for the agreement with the customer, you need to know it and understand it, and that has to be explained very thoroughly. And you, as a customer success manager, must feel confident in talking about why we're doing this, and tell the same story as management would to a customer. And even if you do all these things, you need to prepare here to, there will be some hiccups. There will be some customers that don't buy this and don't want this and complain, and you just have to prepare for that, and you have to have some good plan on how to act and live with that, basically. But that's the main way to go when you want to implement a price increase. I know also some great companies out there, they have a price increase embedded in their agreements. So it's a yearly price increase that's part of the agreement. Of course, that's even better if you can get that in place and have that type of agreements working. Of course, I guess that takes a little bit more negotiations, perhaps in the initial sale, but that's of course really great to have that up and running. Super. So we're pretty much on time. We will now open up for some Q&As. That was the last, we had the last of the top 5 situations, but I know there's a lot of more situations out there. So please feel free to post your questions, and we will respond to them as soon as possible here. We have one question here. How can you move from churn is barely spoken about. How can we develop through churn? How to create the environment and culture for it? I think this question is about how can you, if you have a lot of churn, what should you do? And what changes do you have to do? And I think that's really critical question to ask, and that's why it's really important to have data on churn. If you have a high number of churn, then you have some real problems to dig into, and those problems are typically not only in how customer success work. They are typically about the product, the sales, several other factors play into churn. If you have a broken product, then you will have churn. If you sell to the wrong type of customers, then you will have churn. So there's more to it. I would say bring the data and look in different customer segments. Do you have customers that are happy with your product? What's the difference between those and the ones that are churning on you? So you have to make a little bit of an analysis to identify that part. And I think as a company, you can really grow from doing if you have tough churn situation, you have to make tough choices here. And some customers are probably wrong for you, and you probably have some issues in the product, or you need to slightly adopt your product for another type of customer. So I hope that answered the question. Otherwise, I'm happy to dig into that one more offline. Another question, what's the best way to follow up on a negative feedback? Negative NPS score. And I think that's also like a somewhat tricky part, because the one who gave the feedback doesn't necessarily want to call, or someone like following up on them and asking 100 questions. But I still think they want some reaction. If you give a really bad feedback, they want some type of reaction. But you should probably be quite careful on how you do it, and also be more very much interested in learning, not correcting, or not trying to convince the customer that we are good anyways. Or you need to focus on the learning part here and be really have a high intent on it. I would say one good way to do it is to escalate it one level, to make the person following up on the negative feedback being a more senior person. So you get, because that typically shows that this takes really seriously, and it's not about trying to fix things. It's more about really learning and trying to fix the root cause to this problem. Moving on. How often should one be in direct customer before it becomes spam? Yes, great question. And I think the key here is to think about what type of contact you want, and your intention with the contact. Sometimes in sales, there's like a numbers game. Yeah, we have to do 10 meetings or 10 appointments a week, and we have to do 150 calls or whatever to set these appointments and so on. If you translate that straight into customer success and say, okay, we just have to call everyone 100 times every week, then you can get into this spam folder or annoyed customers, because it comes down to what's the value for the customer to talk with you or sit down with you in a business review. And I think we have a good webinar on that, but it comes down to, okay, what value can I bring in my contact? Can I help them straight away? Do I have an idea on how to help them? I think if you open up that way, then they will never be received as spam or received as this guy is just bothering me because he has to hit his quota in number of calls or number of business reviews or whatever. So it comes back to the intent and to try to bring value. If you can, as soon as possible, give something to this customer, they will not see you as bothering them. They will see you as a resource, as someone to talk to and get help from. So I think that's the way to do it. And then it can differ, of course. If you have 100,000 customers, or if you have 50 customers, you have to look at you have to see different ways of communicating. But the key is to give value. What is the smartest way to work with customers who already churned? A way to reactivate them. Great one as well. And I believe strongly in win-backs. I've seen it many, many times. Sometimes the customer thinks the grass is greener on the other side. And so the best way is to do a great offboarding, to keep in touch. Maybe can you do something that the customer really don't expect from you? And then of course, can you have a win-back deal? Maybe the grass wasn't greener and the customer has like second thoughts on the new supplier. Can you give them something really good to come back? And I mean, a combination of those two usually can work. But when the customer has jumped, it usually takes time before they realize that you were better. So, but keep in contact, and there's a lot of times you can win back customers for sure. Awesome. So a lot of questions. I hope you enjoyed this webinar. We're happy to take more questions from you afterwards offline. But I thank you for joining, and we will be back soon with more webinars from Start Delivery. Thanks a lot, everyone. Over and out.